Hey there, friends. There are a few comments in my What Is This Feeling reaction wanting to know what I thought of the Wicked film, and I just saw it last night, so I thought I'd share my thoughts here for those who do not see that reaction but are curious about this for reasons unknown. I would say that I'm a Wicked fan without being like a TM Wicked fan, isn't like not a Wicked fanatic. Not there's anything wrong with that. I feel like I have not earned that title. I have not put in the work necessary to earn that title. I've never read the book. I've seen the musical twice in person, and I've watched some slime tutorials, but I have not seen it in a few years now, so as much as I know all the words to all the songs, my memory of all the plot points might be a little bit fuzzy, but I did watch the film last night, and it was fine. I'm kidding, it was wonderful, it was amazing, it was great. Oh man, it was really good. It was really, really, really good. Oh goodness, it's so funny, like, I remember when they announced it, I was just like, oh wow, they finally get around to making a Wicked movie. Okay, and I didn't really care that much. And then as I started seeing more and more bits of it, I'm just like, oh wait, no, this might actually be good though. I don't want to care, because if I care, I can be disappointed. Just as a person who was a massive Phantom of the Opera fan and then had to deal with that film coming out, I did not want to have my heart broken once again. So I'm just like, don't make me care about you, because then you can hurt me. So then finally by last night, I was pretty excited. My sister and I were really psyched. Like, I immediately left from work to go straight to the theater to meet her, and it was really wonderful. It really, really was so good. Just as a warning, I'm just going to share all my opinions, so these will have spoilers. And yeah, it was great. Man, everyone was so perfectly cast. And I didn't know everyone. I've never seen Bridgerton. I did not know the guy playing Fiyero. I know my sister was swooning and was very excited, but I didn't know anything about him. He was fantastic. He was so great. And I love that this Fiyero clearly is just like, I'll have sex with anybody. Like, he was the pan Fiyero I'm super here for. SpongeBob as Bach, perfect casting right there. So Broadway SpongeBob. Yeah, so Rose was great, and I'm talking about the like supporting roles, because obviously the two biggies, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, were amazing. As I stated in the reaction video, I kind of didn't quite know what to think when Ariana Grande was cast. I really don't, like, I know that she was on a Nickelodeon show, not a Disney Channel show. She was on a Nickelodeon show I never saw, because it was very much after my time. And she sings songs. I've heard parts of a couple of them. I've never seen any of her music videos or anything. And I know I've seen her sing Defying Gravity. And she's clearly a very talented singer, but that's really kind of all I knew. I'm just like, that's weird that I've assumed went out to her as like getting a name in there. I'm like, that's kind of weird. But then when I learned more about how she is just like worships Wicked, specifically worships Kristen Chenoweth and that performance, and that she fought tooth and nail to get that role, then I started to get more excited. It's just like, well, you know, regardless, even if she's good or not, I see it less as like, oh, they had to go in for a name, and more like, oh, this theater girl is like living her dream. That's so fantastic. And she was great. I mean, as someone who's watched recordings of Kristen Chenoweth's performance, it was pretty darn spot on, like really, really spot on, without being like, there were still moments that were very her. It wasn't a complete carbon copy. And Cynthia Erivo, who I really only knew from, gosh, wasn't she in I think she was in the Pinocchio live action remake, which I won't hold that against her. And I knew that I've seen bits of her in Color Purple, where she sounded amazing. I've seen her like the Tonys. And then I think I saw her singing a Glinda song, which I was kind of disappointed that I kind of wanted her cast as Glinda. I thought that would have been kind of fun. But yeah, she was unbelievable. Wow. And so great at kind of scaling how much of her voice to use power-wise. Like, I loved in The Wizard and I, when she kind of, it starts very small, sort of, and then by the very end, she's using her full voice, and it just, like, you watch this kind of nervous, excited Elphaba by the end, just being, like, in her full power. It's wonderful. I love the little freckles they gave her. Oh my goodness, it looked so nice. She looked adorable. I loved her nails. They were so beautiful. everything, everything about that was great. The sets, they'll definitely get nominated for production design. They better win, because my god, they did not need to go that hard, but I'm very glad they did. I wanted to go to Shiz so badly. The sets were unbelievable. That library with Dancing Through Life, I'm like, why did you even do this? I don't know why. Like, it made the scene so dynamic and amazing to watch. And I'm like, you didn't need to do this. Again, thrilled you did, because it's so fun to watch, but this is unnecessary. Everything was wonderful. I'm just like thinking all the sets. The sets for Emerald City looked great. As far as the musical numbers went, I'd say Act 1 versus Act 2. Act 1 has probably more songs that I just don't care as much about, as opposed to Act 2, and they made me, I mentioned in the first one, it's like, you know, I joked that no one cares about Something Bad, which is a very important song, like, plot-wise. It's an important point, but when I say, like, no one cares about the song, I mean, like, not necessarily while watching the musical, I mean as, like, listening to the soundtrack. It's the skippable track. It's that Sentimental Man, they're skippable tracks. And I felt like that was really done well in the musical, specifically Something Bad. I love the fact that Dr. Dillerman is talking to the other animals and not to Elphaba. I think that adds something to it, as she just kind of overhears this conversation. And the shadow work during that was so cool. I love the little kind of hints throughout it of the struggles with the animals. I love that when Elphaba has her moment where she kind of explodes power-wise when she first gets to Shiz, you see everything come down from the walls of the little kind of common area. You see underneath the murals of all the animals. Is just like watching as, you know, Oz has clearly just been trying to build on top of the animals while also like build on top of what the work they did and also suppressing them. It's really interesting. It's funny, like I've watched Wicked a bunch of times, and so I always think of the animals as being like, specifically Dr. Dillerman as being like a goat man, and forget, like, no, he's like a full-on goat. He's just a goat hanging out there, which kind of like threw me for a minute. Madame Morrible was awful, and I wanted her clothes so badly. If I could have one article of clothing in this entire film, it would be her, like, one of her robes she had that, like, had a bunch of stars on it. I think literally the theater went like, oh, I want it. My sister started laughing at me, but it looked so pretty. Oh my god. I think the only negatives I've heard people mention, and this is like one or two people I saw, were like, oh, Dancing Through Life is so long. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's long. this is our Into the Woods of this musical. Man, I'm trying to think of anything bad about it, really. The what's it called? Cameos. I won't go into details, but perfect, so funny, so wonderful, so great. Emerald City looked amazing. I love that it really, like, the texture they did on all the walls, especially in the palace, looked so cool. Every little detail. I love Sentimental Man. I love the way that the wizard and his little, I jokingly called it Ozcot, the Epcot kind of City of Oz of Tomorrow little diorama there. Felt the Sentimental Man, everything, it felt very Disney. Not in like a wink wink nudge, we're going for Disney, but as someone who used to work at Disneyland and is very, you know, familiar with the Disney culture when it comes to like a lot of that vintage stuff, when he was kind of like, this is the totally true story of the history of Oz, and all these different little show and everything in front of the palace, it felt extremely Disney Park. As someone who worked in Disney Park for the past 12 years, it kept making me laugh. Yeah, he was fantastic. Like, again, everyone was so perfectly cast. And I'm trying to rack my brain for anything negative I can say about it. Not that I'm like looking for something bad, but I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, I guess I'm gonna pick one thing that kind of did make me chuckle, took me out of it for a minute, was that her cape at the end is just so very long, which makes sense in the stage production because first of all, it looks very impressive when she flies, but also it's like covering up. It's giving like texture to the stage behind her, and it probably is covering up some kind of rigging that's helping her fly in that moment on stage. But in this, it just looks like it looks like Linda tied like a curtain around her, and so it did look kind of funny when she was flying for a second. But Defying Gravity sounded amazing. I'm really excited to see I keep forgetting to call it a sequel and just keep calling it Act 2. I can't wait for Act 2. I'm excited to see Ariana Grande in Act 2 because she was great. I mean, Popular was perfect. I love that I feel like Glinda is a very difficult role to play. I feel like people toss it away as being easy because she's like, oh, you're just bubbly and you're fun and blah, blah. But there's a very specific line you have to go between like almost being a mean girl without quite being a mean girl. It's hard to be that kind of character while also still remaining likable to the audience. It's hard, and I've seen Glinda's not pull it off. But I feel like the kind of trick to it is you have to believe that this girl really just kind of is that privileged and oblivious without being, she's not cruel, she's just oblivious. She's just totally oblivious to kind of the world around her. It's not, doesn't understand that what she does can hurt people because she just sort of assumes that everyone has her, what she like has her privileges, and so it doesn't occur to her that other people might not, you know, feel the same way she does all the time. It's not like she only thinks about herself, she thinks about other people. She just can't fathom a world where, like, you know, when Alpha mentions that her dad hates her, it's like, I don't think that Glinda can imagine a world where, like, your dad would hate you. How I don't understand. You know, toward the beginning of the film, after she gets kind of shut down by Madame Morrible, it's like, I didn't get what I wanted. It's just, it's not her throwing a tantrum. It's more just like, I don't understand. This has never happened to me before. What is going on? What? How could this? Wait, no. Like it's a very fine line, and I think she does it well. Obviously, Popular being like the defining number for Glinda, but for me, I rate my Glindas based on how they do in Thank Goodness, because I feel like that, which is the first, for those who don't know, it's the opening number of Act 2, which I assume will be the opening number of movie 2. And you have to, the Glinda part in that song, you have to have a lot going on as far as like what you are outwardly expressing versus what you know is going on in her head. She's going through, it is an emotional roller coaster for Glinda. And I'm really, really, really curious to see how she does with that. Because a lot of this movie, she can look kind of doe-eyed and sort of like, what? But that was perfect for that act. So I want to see what she does when she has to be a bit more, you have to see a lot more layers to what Glinda's feeling. I'm really excited. And I think Cynthia will be amazing, of course. I love the little kind of references they put in, even in just like the choreography in Bach and in Fiyero, with certain ways they would move, which would, you know, were very Tin Man or Scarecrow-like. So clever. Yeah, it was really, really wonderful. I'm so happy. And you know what? I'm sure that such is the way of fandoms. I am sure there are going to be people who know there's going to be a lot more people who like Wicked, who have never heard of Wicked before. And there's going to be some people going like, yeah, you're not a real fan, blah, blah, blah. That's so stupid. I'll never understand that, ever. It's so wonderful to be a fan of a show. That's anytime you are a fan of a show. I mean, like, look, I'm a horror fan and a Disney fan, so I've had to deal with a lot of disappointing remakes, we'll say. As a fan of something that gets an adaptation or a remake that you think is really true to the spirit, or in this case, really just, I mean, it's the stage production blown up. That's all it is. Like, I felt the pacing was great. It didn't feel like they added a bunch of fluff. It's just like, oh no, it's 2.5 hours because that's how long that's how long this will take if you have to show everything. That's just what it is. Nothing felt like it was added or subtracted that shouldn't have been. It was perfect. There's nothing more wonderful than having something you love get an adaptation where a bunch of people are going to see it that haven't seen it before. And you could probably stand there and go like, if you watch this movie and you love it, then you love Wicked, because that's Wicked. That's great. That's wrong with that. That's wonderful. You're something you love is getting great representation. And even if you don't like Wicked, like you don't like the show, this can only be good things in, like, musicals. This can only be good things for musical adaptations going forward, because this one is so true to how it is on screen. It's so wonderful to see, my heater's going on. It's so wonderful to see a movie musical adaptation that's not afraid to be a musical. Mean Girls, kind of Les Mis for how it's filmed. Cats, to a lot of degree, like, everyone should be ashamed to be Cats. I hate the show Cats. It doesn't even have anything to do with the movie. I've always hated Cats, so yeah, I don't like that movie because it's hilariously bad, and also I hate cats. But it can only mean good things if very, very well made, true to source material musicals end up doing financially well. There you go. Yeah, it was great. I don't even know if you can hear me now because the heater's on, but whatever, it's freezing. Who cares? I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to say. I should have written notes. I didn't. I'm just kind of babbling off the top of my head. Oh well. Yeah, just if there are any gatekeeping people out there, just don't, man. Like, more people finding things you love doesn't make it less interesting to love it. It just means there's more people at the party. Heck, when I love a Disney film, and like my favorite Disney film is Hunchback of Notre Dame, I know eventually it's gonna get remade, or like it's gonna get a live action remake. There's a good chance I'm not gonna like it. I don't particularly like any of the live action remakes, but you know what? I'll get merch. So at least I got that going for me. There's a bright side to all of it. I'm really thrilled, honestly, that it took this long to make this film, because I feel like if they had done this back when the musical was really big, or in the early thousands or whatever it may have been, I think it would not have done well, just because musical movies were not big then, and when they started to come back with, like, say, Moulin Rouge and Chicago, it just would have been a very different looking Wicked. This is the time where they can really just go all out and do whatever they want, and they did, and that's so fantastic. I'm so thrilled. It's funny, it took me until, like, I was enjoying it and I was loving it, and weirdly it took me until, like, the harmonies in Defying Gravity to suddenly be like, oh shit, I'm watching Wicked. Like, I don't know why this moment of the, you know, the You and I Defying Gravity, then when they're harmonizing there, suddenly in that moment I was like, oh shit, it's here, I finally have a Wicked musical. My little sister cried several times. I got teary-eyed several times, but mostly at moments where on the stage it would have probably not had any music at all, like you know, when they're dancing, say at the Ozdas where Elphaba's doing her dance and Glinda joins her, which, like, I think in the stage production, from what I can recall, didn't have any music until everyone joins in, and they just, in the background, you hear bits of For Good. I started to get a little teary-eyed. That happened a few times when they'd have these moments, they'd put in For Good and start to get emotional. I'm like, I love these two so much. Oh god, it reminded me how much I really do love this show. And on the way home from the movie, I went and listened to the original soundtrack again, because it's been a while. It's been a while since I've listened to Wicked. It's been a while since I've listened to any musicals. I used to only listen to musicals, and now lately I've been getting into, like, back into normal music again, but now I kind of want to make a big musical playlist. If there are any musicals you think I should check out, I had so much fun reacting to Wicked when I did my little What Is This Feeling thing. If there's any movie musicals or stage musicals, I'm happy. I am very, 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 very good at finding slime tutorials. So if there's any anything you'd ever want me to react to or just talk about when it comes to any musical, by all means, except Cats. I do not like Cats. I don't think there's any other musicals I greatly hate. I don't think oh. This might be the hottest of takes, and I deeply apologize. I do not like Moulin Rouge. I just don't. I'm sorry. It's not against anyone who likes it. I'm not prepared to have this conversation. I don't like Moulin Rouge. Besides those, yeah, I'm up for anything. If anyone ever wants to suggest anything for me, add that to my wheel of reactions. Right now it's a lot of rap music and rock music, which I'm very happy with, but and a lot of Aurora, who I'm very much enjoying. But if you want to add some any musicals to it, any numbers or whole musicals, I don't care. By all means, let me know. So yeah, couldn't be happier as a Wicked fan. This was so wonderful, and I cannot wait till part 2. And there you go. Those are my rambling feelings about the Wicked film. I'm a happy gal. Yay! Bye, everybody.